Welcome back to Comic Book History. This is episode number 23. And in this episode, like I mentioned last episode, I'm going to talk about something that apparently no one has ever bothered to talk about this. Not even Linkar whenever he brings up stuff related to comic books. The DC Implosion. Yep. A little, let's say, publication event in a way that happened in the year 1978. It was a cost-saving measure because some of because DC by the late 70s was not doing too well financially, so they decided to have some titles could act in order to save money. One of these titles was going to be Detective Comics, but they later changed their mind and had Batman Family get canceled with issue 20. But that was not the only title that got canceled with DC Implosion. These following titles: All-Star Comics with issue 74. 75 was later published as part of the feature was later moved to Adventure Comics, which lasted for 6 issues before the feature concluded. Aquaman with issue 63, which his feature got moved over to also Adventure Comics. The first new issue, Army of War. Original was Our Army of War, of course, Batman Family. It was going to be Battle of Classics, a reprint title. Black Lightning canceled issue 11. But his 12th issue was published with issue 260 of World's Finest Comics. Issue 12 of Claw of the Unconquered, Doorway to Nightmare with issue 5, which basically was moved over to the Unexpected. Dynamite Classics, a reprint title. Firestorm, he was going to have an issue 6, but the title was moved over. But the title was axed, and then the character was moved over to Flash for a few issues before he got his own title back. House of Secrets with issue 154, Commanded the Last One, Earth issue 59, with its OMAC features was moved over to Warlord for a few issues. Mr. America with issue 25, Secret Society of Supervillains with issue 15, Secrets of the Haunted House with issue 14, but it was brought back a year later. Shade the Changing Man, one of two Steve Ditko books basically that wasn't published but got canceled. It was going to be an Odd Man story. It was canceled issue 8. Showcase was canceled issue 104. Dead Man Creeper stories was going to be published 105. Was basically Deadman was moved over to Adventure Comics as well. Creeper was never published, but it appeared in the Creeper by Steve Ditko. Star Hunters with issue 7. Steel the Unstruckle Man, one of 2 Jerry comic books, which issue 6 was reworked into All-Star Squadron number 8 through 9. Witching Hour basically moved over to Unexpected. And number titles were unrelated to DC Implosion but were canceled. Challenge the Unknown, canceled issue 87. DC Superstars, issue 18. Freedom Fires with issue 15. Karate Kid 15 at issue 15. Metalman issue 56. Our Fighting Force issue 181. New Gods with issue 19, which the feature was basically moved over to Adventure Comics. Shazam was basically was canceled and moved over to World's Finest. Super Team Family was basically, there was a team-up story published for them. It was published in Superman Family, issues 180, 183. Teen Titans with issue 153, and Welcome Back Koto with issue 10. Was the final issue was published in limited collector edition. So, pretty much, there were certain stories that basically, some of the stories were eventually published and later reworked in the books, but the original way they originally were printed as part of a 2-issue magazine called Canceled Comic Cavalcade. Yes. And in the first issue, we had what was going to be issue 12, Black Lightning in the cover, issue 13, Claudia Unconquered issue 13 and 14, The Deserted number 1, Dory Tonight with number 6, Firestorm, volume 1, number 6, Green Team Boy Millionaires. I keep thinking Team Trillionaires because of the New 52 book. Yeah, the New 52 book is a reworking of this book, which started as part of the first issue special. Yeah, it was going to have 2 issues, then, well, that's that. 60 and 61 for Kamandi. Perez, number 5. The 9th issue of Shade the Changing Man. Showcase 95, 105, 106. Secret Society of Supervillains 1617, which was published in Secret Society of Supervillains Volume 2. Steel, number 6. The first issue of Vixen. And Covers for Army of War number 2, Battle Classic number 3, Demand Classics 1 and 2, Mr. Miracle number 26, Ragman number 6, Western Tales 25, 26, and Western Classics 1 and 2. Yeah, these titles basically were being published, were going to be published, but never were. Demand Classic, Deserter, Vixen, Western Classics, and Star Slayer. Yeah, in case you're wondering why Vixen's never had an ongoing series over the years, there was one planned, but it was canceled. And I read the Vixen story that was published in Cancel Comic Classic number 2. Apparently it was going to be an oversized issue, and Conway himself wrote it. It's one of 3 stories that appear in Cancel Comic Classic that Conway himself wrote. But from a look at the issues, they're not terrible issues. It's just that money was the reason why that these books were canceled. Yes. Money was the reason why these books were canceled. That's the only reason why. So, yeah. And of course, DC decided to replicate the success of DC Implosion with New 52. Yeah, those who think, oh, the whole thing of basically certain titles getting axed and then having certain titles get axed as sort of a cost-saving measure. Yeah, what happened in 2011 was not the first time DC has done this. Basically, DC Implosion is the first time this ever happened. And this happened in 1978. That's when this event happened. It happened over the course of 3 months and had as a cost-saving measure. I would say probably the biggest title was there was a few of these titles that basically had over 100 issues published by the time it was canceled, like Showcase, House of Secrets. Let's see, what other titles were there? There was also, let's see, House of Secrets. Yeah, House of Secrets and Showcase. Those 2 are the only ones that actually published over 100 issues that was canceled. Some of these titles that get canceled, like a few of them basically at the publishing, like a couple of them canceled barely for publishing for barely half a year. Some get canceled like a year or a little over a year being published. It's like some of these titles have barely got a chance. Now the Black Lightning title, I actually read the first 5 for that with the title that was canceled. DC collected that just last year into a trade. They collect the entire 11-issue series, plus the story that was going to be published as issue 12, part of the trade as well. Yes. Yeah, they put that into a trade last year. So, even though I've referenced this particular thing in a couple episodes, I figured I want to expand upon it. Basically, what DC Implosion was a cost-saving measure. Basically, certain titles had to get to the axe to them to save money. Yes. That's why in 2011 DC did the same thing with New 52. So that's why titles like Power Girl, Justice Society America, I'm trying to think what other titles were canceled. Let me think here. Although there was like several titles got canceled because New 52 relaunch, because it happened all of a sudden. So in a way, New 52 was not the first time DC has done this. So, I had to point this out. So, it happened exactly 33 years prior to this. So, basically, if you look up New 52 Wikipedia, they do have a link to DC Implosion. So, you have a basically good read exactly what DC Implosion was. And simply put, it's a similar event. And also, they also did a similar thing with Crisis on Infinite Earths, the whole thing of rebooting the universe. Yeah, New 52 copied that as well. So, New 52, when it started, the initiative started, basically copied 2 concepts, Crisis on Infinite Earths and a DC Implosion. That's basically what it did. So, and I'm curious, though, why in the world that nobody's ever talked about this at all. In the documentary Superheroes Unmasked, there's no reference to this at all. I'm like, why not bring this up? This is something that actually did happen, and something that did affect sales. Maybe because it's not story-wise. Yeah, that could be the reason why. I don't know. Who knows what could be the reason why, but I definitely think that more people should talk about a DC Implosion and how it kind of did help DC Comics a bit. It did save them money and basically got them out almost going to bankruptcy in the 70s. And led them to being a good selling company in the 80s. because you had a lot of good selling titles in the 80s. Titles like Batman, Detective Comics, which actually got a little bit better thanks to Batman Family. Even though Justice League America was continued publishing up to the 80s, but toward its last couple of years, it wasn't selling too well. But, yeah, so it helped, but titles that people probably liked to have read basically got canceled very quickly. But luckily enough, at least a couple of these titles have since been collected into trade, like Black Lightning, Firestorm. His first volume of the series has been collected, but not the rest of his second volume for some unknown reason. But yeah, that's really it for DC Implosion. Not much else. There's also stuff to talk about. There were some blizzards that happened in 77, 78, and also something else happened in the real world called the recession. Yeah, the recession. Some people think, oh, that the 2007-2008 recession was something like new and unexpected to people. There was also a recession in the early 90s and the 70s. And it happened when Jimmy Carter was president. No, seriously, if you look up in American history, they do mention the recession. So you can kind of blame the recession for DC's failings. Yeah, you can kind of blame it for that. So, yeah, I know it's kind of whimper of an episode, but I had to talk about this because nobody bothers to talk about this at all for some unknown reason. So that's it for this episode. Next episode, the Infinity Inc. Both the original version Roy Thomas created and the one that basically briefly spun off from 52 in the 2000s. I will talk about that one as well, and also what happened to certain characters after the original series ended after 51 issues. Okay? But until then, I will see you there. Bye.